There we go, Everton still yet to concede at Hillbrixton Stadium, but a 0-0 today. Really should have won that game. Created a lot of good opportunities. We were on top for long spells. Villa were a bit injury ravaged. And I think from half an hour to go, it felt very much like they were in it for a point. Just couldn't quite get that moment, really. And just one of those. Like, to be honest, like in games in recent years, we've had. You look at matches, and you think, we couldn't go for a point. We did well to get a point, but. In a weird sort of way, almost quite comforting that you're coming out of a game thinking we really pushed a good team there and I should have won the game but didn't quite. They're just showing highlights on the screen. Now Grealish created a couple of great chances for Michael Keane which he couldn't quite convert, and yeah, just one of those days really. And the players are all coming over now. David Moyes applauding the supporters. The referee was absolutely abysmal all game. As you can hear now, he's walking off the pitch. But yeah, a lot to be excited about and comfortable with that performance because Everton were really good for long spells, and as you can probably hear, the fans feel so too. So yeah, players just making their way off. So we will be back for a bit more chat about that game and the Demi Castle afterwards. So yeah, we'll catch you again soon.
Mention Simon Hooper just for him to get angry.
Well, there we go. We are back on the Demi Castle. I've been told not to mention the referee twice already, but Rob Fisher very much mentioning Simon Hooper there on the podcast. I've got Rob and Keith next to me now. Mark Mosey's just having a chat down the road. He'll come and join us soon. Just saying there, Keith really like on me a little bit of the ground, like fine today. Played really well, played some good stuff, some good moments in the second half. Like I loved it when we were like attacking in front of that south stand and like everyone was open and getting amongst it and it felt like the goal was coming, but it didn't come. It was a little bit shit, but I think there's a lot of good things we can take from today.
My underlying feeling from today is I'd rather walk away from a 0-0 draw disappointed that we haven't won it than walk away from a 0-0 draw made up that we've held on. I thought we played very well. I thought we played really good football today. I thought we were certainly on the front foot a lot more than Villa. In terms of chances created, it was all Everton. But for two world-class saves from Martinez and Michael Keane's neck not being 2 inches longer, we'd have won that 3-0. Like we were by far the better side there. So take the positives from it. This point last season, would you not have bitten someone's hand off for a 0-0 and a point off Villa? Now whether or not that's us progressing.
Can I just interject there? This point last year, we went 2-0 up against Villa at Villa Park, and we all knew we were going to get beat still. Like, we were all certain, like, the roof was going to cave in.
Yep, do you know what? Yeah, absolutely spot on. I think you've got to take the positives from today in that David Moyes has built a very competent football team who played front foot football. They played nice, attractive, attacking football today. Now, how much of that is because of us progressing or Villa regressing, I don't know, because we'll go on to it probably in a bit more detail at some point. But they were awful today. They showed nothing, and that's a very, very good point for Villa today. They'll be very happy going back down the road with a point there. But overall, I'm happy with that. I'd take that going into the derby.
Yeah, I mean, at the end there, Villa were high fives and we had hands on our knees. Disappointed. Probably be the other way round last season. Even at home, you think, good point. But we had enough, as Keith said, 0-0s, 20-30% possession, hardly a shot on target, and we'd celebrate that. Now it's better balance to the team that Moyes has brought. And even Merlin Roll coming on, he looked like he'd had a good week's training. And how many times have we seen a new signing come in and look lost in the last 2-3 years, where you look competent? Maybe some more subs, probably is the only thing I would have said in the last 15-20 minutes. Might have been a bit better, but it looked like a good performance, better balance to the team. Villa looked like they would have been happy with a point from game one, basically. I mean, defence was solid. Michael Keane, where has this Michael Keane been? Is it sure it's Michael Keane?
Really well, yeah.
The interceptions today, I'd like to see the figures for that, but it was double figures and some, I think. But and you could tell the relationships, it just wasn't quite the final ball like Wolves, but they're still getting to know each other and they're still playing. And international break, good time for Villa, bad time for Everton, probably, but we still got a result, we still got a point, and I think we can still take the positivity. And we know what's coming next week, but I think it's a free hit. Just have a go.
I mean, that's something I sort of struck by today. Keith was like, you know what Rob's saying there? This team is completely new, isn't it? All two of our best chances in the second half there were Jack Grealish setting up Michael Keane. It's I don't want to disparage Keane or overhype Grealish by any means, but they would not be working together on the training ground on things like that. So as much as all a bit gutted we not won that today and a bit frustrated, this is still a very new team with a lot of new relationships forming all over the place, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and you do see that. You see a lot of the intended passes don't quite come off, and that's all right at this stage of the season. In March, April, it's not so great, but at this point you can understand it. What I really do like is the interlinking play between Jack Grealish, Dewsbury Hall and James Garner. I think the three of them, obviously Garner sort of pushed into that left back role today, so maybe he interacts with Keane a lot, with Grealish a lot more. But he did very. It's nice to have that fallback where we can put him there and say we know he's going to do an all right job. But I think more so on the front foot, him and Grealish seem to have developed this really good understanding early of where the other one's going to go and where they want the ball, and not just where they want the ball, but how they want the ball. Do they want it fizzed in? Do they want it chipped through? And they seem to get that right, near enough every time. And then you throw Dewsbury Hall into that. Dewsbury Hall's movement off the ball is spectacular. It's something I've never noticed about him as a footballer, probably because I didn't really watch much Chelsea or Leicester over the last 5 years. But his movement off the ball, he gets his head up, he finds the space, and he looks for the ball, and he's always an option for someone to play it into. And I think he will turn out to be an incredible signing for the club. I think that was a really astute bit of business by Everton to get him in for 25 million in today's transfer fees. Not that much, really. And I think he'll be an integral part of Everton going forward. So, yeah, I fully agree. It is a new team, but there are very promising signs from that new team that we can look to see in the coming weeks, the coming months. That'll get a little bit more polished, a little bit tidier, and it'll come off a little bit more, and then you get the chances that come from that.
I think as much it is a new team, Rob, there were good signs from the old guard today. I say the old guard, I'm talking about James Tarkowski, Michael Keane.
Don't tell Matt.
Again. I thought James Tarkowski had a really good game today.
He did after the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I thought he started a bit shaky. There was one where he knocked it almost to the byline and then kicked it out for throwing. It was just that's not kind of what we're doing. But yeah, no, I thought they were really good. Bear in mind, we had a left back again who is not a left back, but didn't look out of place. They didn't attack him. They didn't really have a go. And to be honest, he was more in their half, attacking with Grealish, making partnerships. I completely agree with Keith there. What he's saying about gelling. I was at Wolves the other week and they gelled. But this is obviously international break. You've not got everyone there, and you could tell probably Adrissa Gay, Illiman and Dye were just kind of pacing themselves through the game there, just to make sure they lasted. I think that's what Moyes wanted, and that's probably what he told them. And we'll probably go on to the strikers, obviously Beto in now. But I thought outside the penalty area his work was really, really good. But just when you needed him, we can say whatever striker we want to. That's obviously a top-class striker. But if we had one of those today, I think we definitely 100% would have won. But we know we had to fill in other areas during the transfer window. We've got a young raw Barry that's very similar to Beto. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, the signs are promising because we know, as we've seen in a couple of games previously, there's going to be goals from other areas.
It's a question on Beto in that, does it still count as a shot on target if he blocks his own shot and it goes out for a goal kick?
Which one was this? The first one?
Yeah, about 5 minutes in. He blocked it. It was a great shot, but it was off his own leg.
It was like a double hit.
Yeah, he leathered it off his standing foot. Otherwise, it would have flown in the bottom corner. But there we go. I think Rob's spot on about coming off the international break there. Idrissa Gueye is 36 years old now, right?
I thought he did a great game today.
You could see that he wasn't 100% fit, and yet for me, and I'm going to address this specifically because after Brighton there were comments that I'm too harsh on Idrissa Gueye, and maybe it's because I hold him to a higher standard, but I thought he was absolutely magnificent today. I thought he broke up everything Villa tried to do, and then moving forward he was really positive. He found the right passes. I thought that's as good as I've seen Idrissa Gueye have a game for Everton. And you factor into that he's played 90 minutes in midweek in Africa and then had to fly home at 36 years old. How does he do it? I'd be knackered.
Yeah.
I'd be falling down at that point.
I mean, you see from now, the experience is I know it's very cliche, it's the first yard is in your head, but he's probably not as dynamic as he was off the ball, but you can see he's reading the game a lot better now than he was. When he first came from Aston Villa, ironically, and it was very, very ragged, chasing the ball around like a bit of a headless chicken sort of thing.
So his closing down, if you look at his closing down now, right, compared to, like you say, when he first came to the club, his closing down, he used to chase everything. Now he's there, he's in the area where the ball is played, and he's ready to press, and it's like a next level reading of the game that you don't just most footballers don't have that, and it's such an asset in the midfield, and it's quite sad for Everton that we are so reliant on a 36-year-old who we really need to replace to do that, but he is the best in the team at doing it. And all of Everton's best pressing today came from his work. So, I'm sorry, I forgot the username of whoever commented saying I was too harsh on Idrissa Gueye. I just want to address, I just want to say, I don't hate him. I think he's a magnificent footballer. And maybe my criticisms are because I hold him to a higher standard.
Fair enough. That's nice. That's a nice way of summing it up. I like that. You mentioned the striker situation, Rob. Obviously, better today. It was like a Calvert-Lewin performance where he did all the things that aren't scoring a goal well, but then when it came to actually scoring a goal, he couldn't do it. It was better. It was simply been the other way. Actually, off the on the ball, can't hold it up. Bit ropey. It was all round play, but couldn't stick the ball in the back of the net. Today was very much an inverse of what he's all about, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah. I mean, second half, you had that one at the angle, didn't you? It was hit it.
Yeah.
You're probably hit it because you knew
he came back onto his left foot.
If he tried to do a bit of skill like that, the touch was 6 yards away, and obviously they closed him down. You understood what he was thinking of doing, but he just couldn't pull it off. And we know that's what he was like for a lot of last season, wasn't he? But there was a lot of good chip balls through. Tarkowski played him a couple. And good to hear the guys get going in there. Slow cooking today. But yeah, it was a couple of good chip balls through, but just always a bit worried, his control and his touch. If you play it along the ground, you know, as we've seen, 1 touch, 2 touch, he'll probably finish it off. But just at the moment, the chances of getting them more like the start of last season where he's struggling a little bit to get it done. And then you feel like Barry coming on the last 15 minutes, he's trying, but it's just too panicky in the last 15 minutes. You know, he's not really going to do that. We've obviously got real different games coming up. Obviously really difficult one next weekend. But then Wolves away in the League Cup and West Ham at home on the Monday night. You're thinking, how are you going to work those strikers out? Because you need one of them to start hitting form to really make this momentum. And it is momentum. Villa are trying to find a bit. We've got it. Whereas the last 2-3 years, have we really had any momentum ever? And Villa have had quite a bit in the last year or two. And now it's switched around. And that's where the international breaks help someone without it and don't help someone with it. And that's what, obviously, we talked a little about earlier. But it's a lot of strikers in the Premier League, like Beto, like Barry. There's not many who've done it, obviously. Transfer window, obviously got a lot of new strikers playing this weekend. One's obviously started well today, got the winner for the Barcodes, but literally you just don't know how they're going to go, and there is a bit of working out, so it's going to be another few weeks before anything balances out. But we're in a far better position than we have done mid-September for a long time.
Yeah, it feels like one of them, Keith, where like every couple of weeks we're going to be going, well, Beto's had a couple of games, he's not done great, let's swap for Barry. Barry's not had a couple of bad games, let's swap for Beto. Like, it feels like they're both kind of like at a similar level, but neither of them are like, well, neither of them are complete strikers, are they, by any means? And like, we're going to be kind of very high on them one week, very low on them the next week.
Michael Keane up front.
And he missed a couple today, didn't he?
He did, yeah. I mean, to be fair, one of his misses today was one of the best saves I've ever seen in the flesh. That one from his header that he flashed in from the Grealish cross, that save from Martinez it's outrageous, isn't it? And like, fair play to him. He's won them a point today. Yeah, back to the point on the actual strikers. You're right, neither of them are sticking the hand up right now to say, I should be your starting striker. They're both good options to have on the pitch. Like, I don't feel bad with either of them playing. I just feel like we need to play at their strengths a little bit more. Like Beto, when he was on the pitch today, everything was into his feet, back to goal. Get him in behind. You've seen what he can do when we play him in behind. So, do we need to try and shape the team a bit more to get those balls in behind for him and play them and see if that changes things? Is that how Barry's going to play as well? Barry seems to be better on the front foot than he does trying to hold it up. For as long as I can physically remember, the lone striker role for Everton is the most thankless task in football. Like, you watch Romelu Lukaku score 20 goals in a season and still spends 90% of his time frustrated, losing the ball, thumping the turf. Right? Why are we not finding a striker, getting them in the team and playing to how they want to play? Because that's how you score goals. And like, I mean, look at our goals this season so far. How many of them have been scored by strikers? One, yeah. Beto at Wolves. If you're not counting the League Cup where Beto scored from like 6 yards. That's, I mean, it's good that we're getting goals from other areas, but it's not ideal that your main avenue are not providing. So do you try and change things around a little bit to try and play to their strengths? What I will say is, I think next week, the derby, we're obviously going to play on the back foot. We're going to be a counter-attacking side in that game. I think that's going to suit Beto a lot more. And you've seen Beto in the past at Anfield.
Goodison last year
and at Goodison last year as well, where he gets in behind it and he causes that mayhem and that mischief. So, for me, you start with him next week.
Definitely.
I think Barry's still too young, too inexperienced to be throwing in a game of that magnitude. But let's not beat about the bush here. They're there to be got at the back. Liverpool are a fantastic attacking side, the best in the league by a distance. But they are not the same team that they once were at the back. So they're there to be got at on the counter-attack, and I think that's where we can get them. So for me, it's Beto next week and try and get in behind that absolute cart horse, Konate.
And the other one.
And the other one with his biscuit legs.
Never gets beaten, apparently.
I'm just going to take that away from Keith, for he says anything terrible. But I'm going to throw it back, you know, but you might be able to say something terrible again. Just take a deep breath before you answer this, both of you. The referee today was Simon Hooper. I'm going to come to you first, Rob. I mean, he was not good. I mean, the one that really got me furious was the end of the first half when Tarkowski hit, I think it was Rodgers on the turn, took the ball.
Didn't play for a straight.
And it took 5 or 6 seconds and then decided to foul. I mean, there was just so many needless free kicks given, like the game was so stop-start, and he had a lot to do with that, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I'm at an age where I've seen 80s, early 90s football quite a lot, and that was a proper physical game today where the referee didn't really need to get involved, but obviously they feel they have to nowadays. And it just felt like there was a lot of decisions that both teams weren't happy with. But yeah, it was just how we got, how many bookings? 5, 6?
We got 5 bookings?
Not us, but I think a total, I think there was 5 or 6. But it was never really a 5 or 6 booking game. But you know how they referee it now. It is that many. But yeah, it was just indecision. You would tell the players never had any confidence in what to do with the tackle or anything like that. And I think, to be fair, Simon Newper is not the only one, and there's plenty like that. And yeah, it was just a 4 out of 10 performance. But to be honest, that's pretty standard in the Premier League nowadays. And we know whoever referees next week we'll be getting a 4 out of 10, and they'll probably get about a 9 out of 10. But yeah, it was bang average, and you know the referees, when you get them, they're kind of going to give decisions and bookings, and you're like... I felt like both fullbacks of Villa were booked one day fairly early on, and we didn't kind of take advantage of that. That's probably the only thing I would say, because I think Simon Hooper would have happily got out a second yellow today. So that's probably the only thing a little bit disappointed with in terms of us. Could have maybe manipulated that, but yeah, there was a lot of fouls that didn't really need to be. Good hard tackles, and just basically he blew the whistle. And as you say, that one with Tarkowski was so delayed. Unbelievable. Yeah.
Could Moyes have got like Dibbling or McNeil on that wide with that in mind, don't you think?
Yeah, I said earlier that the subs in the last 15, he didn't even have anyone warming up. So that's probably the only negative thing overall from today, I'd say, from an Everton point of view, that I maybe looked at. And when you're talking about potential of their fullbacks on the bookings, that even more could emphasise that as a point. Yeah, completely. That's kind of a more balanced feed, I'm sure my good colleague Keith will give now.
I'm going to be very measured in what I say here. If you want to know my real opinions, I'm sure I'll be tagged in the tweet for this, the podcast link. Come and talk to me and I'll give you my real opinions. But for right now, what I will say is...
I don't have to edit anything else, come on.
That was a very good, old-fashioned, physical, passionate, niggly game of football, and it was absolutely ruined by a school prefect of a referee who had the biggest main character syndrome I've seen in a referee in a long time. It was like Lee Mason reincarnated.
Oh God,
he wanted to be the story today, and the big one for me, the one that annoyed me, the Tarkowski one, obviously, yeah, not great, right? The one that's really got me today is the one where Jack Grealish is kicked to the floor, grabs the ball for a free kick, and he gets booked for a handball. And then within 2 minutes, the exact same thing happens to John McGinn in midfield, and he gives Villa the free kick. And I just think he's ruined the flow of a game of football there. It was a very good game of football. Both sides were physical, they were committed, and it's what we want to see as a paying public. We don't want to see stop-start, free kicks for everything. And he's ruined it. So PGMOL, whatever you're called, have a good, long, hard look in the mirror. And please do not give us another bald referee next week.
There are too many bald referees.
There are too many bald referees. Howard Webb is sculpting the PGMOL in his image. Bald police informants.
It's a shaved, covered in body. That's what it is.
Honestly, if you want a top gig in the Premier League these days, you've got to be follically challenged. But yeah, honestly, Simon Hooper, a pox on your house.
There we go.
He was very bald.
So Matt Mosey's joined us for the last 5 minutes. Have you got anything to say about Everton or the referees, or just anything you want to get off your chest in general before we wrap up?
It was weirdly enjoyable for a 0-0, albeit frustrating at the end. And you could make the case for the fact that we deserve to win the game. But it's nice to come. The whole season's got a bit of a new feel about it. Today had an enjoyable feel about it. I'm frustrated that we didn't win the game. Could we have done a little bit more to impact the goal in Martinez? Probably, in my opinion, which just about makes a draw a more fair result than what we feel about it at the moment. I'll totally echo what Keith said about the broken nature of the game because of the referee. I thought that the management of the game today was really poor. I think once you start picking up on every single piece of contact and make that your mantra for the day, then it does spoil the game, for want of a better word. And I think we just needed that little bit more fluidity in the attacking third of the pitch. We are probably just that one player or that one kind of month of confident football behind us away from being one of those teams who looks dangerous. I think we were dominant today without being dangerous, and I think that's
fullbacks away.
That's something that will come with time. We are absolutely 2 fullbacks away in terms of providing that balance that you need just to be an attacking force going forward. There are still tangible moments of our build-up play where you think this is going to break down a little bit here, or players going to stagnate a little bit, and ultimately it's where players who are playing out of position get on the ball. Not to say that Jake O'Brien and James Garner and other players are not doing particularly well at the moment, but we have the ideology of being one of those teams who wins all of its home games and is very impactful going forward, and people fear us, but are we quite there from a technical point of view? Probably not. We are ultimately still a number 9 away from that, but I thought Beto, you guys have probably spoke about him today. I thought from a workmanship point of view, I thought he did everything that we would ever expect Beto to do. Tierney Barry was brought on just to add that, ultimately the goal, and he didn't quite get the opportunity to do that. And I think that's the one thing that's really frustrating me about him at the moment, is that I've not really seen him bearing down on goal on his stronger foot, and thought this lad's going to welly it in the back of the net now. And I think even when he did get that opportunity today, none of us were really overly convinced. We are probably still that man away, but we are Everton. If we had a complete midfield and a number 9 striker, that wouldn't be very Everton at all. So let's embrace our frailties like we've been accustomed to. But it just feels like we're going in the right direction, and it's been literal years since it's felt like we are a progressing football side. We all know that we'd have taken 5th place at this point, 7 points at this point. However you want to analyse mid-September, it feels as though we are miles away from being the team that we were 18 months ago, which is all of us stood outside the Denby Castellia wondering about how this football team survives. Yes. Not one of us have even thought about how Sunderland or Leeds or anyone else got on today, because we are finally thinking about how Everton become a little bit more Everton, and that's just a generally happier place to be.
Just on that note, if you haven't seen it already, make sure you see Leeds' own goal today, because it's the best own goal I've ever
Is it
seen.
better than David Vaughan's for Sunderland against those?
It's an 18-yard header from a corner.
Oh my God.
It's magnificent. I just want to touch very briefly on what Mo's said there, and he's absolutely spot on in that the players out of position. And I'm going to focus on Jake O'Brien here, and this is not a slight on Jake O'Brien in the slightest, because he's a committed footballer. He's doing a very good job defensively as a defender, which is his bread and butter. But there were too many instances, I think, in the last 10-15 minutes of that game today, where we were relying on a 6'6" centre-half to overlap and throw a cross in, and that's never going to end well. And you have to think, is that legitimately a better option than playing someone like Nathan Patterson there, who, for all his faults and flaws, can get down the outside and can put a cross into the box? You've got to weigh up the defensive versus the attacking balance on that, and it's fair enough, and I understand what David Moyes is doing, and it is very much David,
especially without Brathwaite and Mikolenko as well.
It's very. That was a good boo. That was a park end boo. It's very David Moyes coded that we have a 6'6" centre half playing at right back, but that feeds into my one disappointment from the transfer window, in that it's a position where we've had an issue for years and not addressed. And that really, for me, if you don't do it in January, your first signing next summer has to be Everton's next 6 to 7 season right back.
Grealish then a right back.
Well, it depends how many toffee donuts we sell to sign Jack Grealish. Thank you, Paddy Boylan, for your article. Do you know what? What I've seen of Grealish so far, you pay the money, you sign him. What I actually think will happen is we don't take up the option, but instead we negotiate something with City and end up getting him for around about the 30 million mark, not the 50. Which makes a lot more sense to us, but it also gets 250 grand a week player off City's books. So it makes sense all round, really. He's Everton as fuck, isn't he, Jack Grealish? He's us.
The only thing more Everton as fuck than that is paying £50 million for a 30-year-old. And that is ultimately where the stumbling block is going to be here. But I think you're dead right in terms of obviously the obvious issue at right back, and to echo what Keith said, I thought Jake O'Brien was absolutely fine today, and I think the level of endeavour he shows to get up that touchline. I'm thinking second half in particular, down to our left from the South Stand point of view. I saw him in that corner a lot.
He gets that. He gets up there. It's just he shouldn't have to be doing it, and you're not going to get the same end product in terms of crosses from someone whose primary job is to kick the living shit out of a striker.
And how often do we see Vitaly Mikolenko, an actual left back, doing that on the other side? Probably not a lot. And in a dream world, as Keith said, you want to go and find someone who's going to be that kind of generational fullback. Even if we don't find that person, looks like the situation with Nathan Patterson, it at least sets out that blueprint of this is how Everton play, this is how our fullbacks play. It's first Moyes era, Coleman or Baines. There's a lot of overlapping. We're getting to the byline, we're putting balls in. You need to at least make that a statement to us as fans, a statement to the other players, a statement to the club in general of this is how Everton needs to look. And I think trying to do that with a massive centre half is actually quite difficult. But all that being said, I think he's doing a fantastic job, and even playing there internationally now, which I'm sure frustrates the hell out of him more than it does us.
God, I don't half miss Leighton Baines, What a lad. I mean, you look at...
What's your Baines and Grealish on the left?
Well, you look at this lad, Asnu, that they brought in from Bayern Munich. I know he's a kid, he's young, he's inexperienced. He doesn't want to throw him into the pantheon of Premier League football right now. But at least they've tried to address that as a future issue and moving forward on the left. So hopefully next January, next summer, we address it on the right, we sort it out, and by that point, who knows, Beto or Tierno Barry might have finally put the hand up as the pick-me striker.
We will wrap it up there anyway. As ever, we are outside the Derby Castle. Sounds like the party's going off inside anyway. All relatively calm outside at the moment, but cheers to the lads for the contributions there. We'll have loads coming up this week. We'll have Blue Monday on Monday, Byline coming up on Tuesday morning, and all usual stuff building up to a Merseyside derby at Anfield against the very, very, very low spending Reds, as they like to remind us all. So yeah, that's it from us. Everton 0, Aston Villa 0 today. Up the top east. Speak to you again soon.